How's it going?
Doing all right. What's happening with you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in my basement right now, where I spend most of my time in Sayreville, New Jersey, bunghole of the universe.
The home of
Yeah,
Starland
it's
Ballroom.
yeah, that's the one thing we got going for us, at least.
And somewhat or another Bon Jovi, which I don't think he ever talked about being from Sayreville, but
The tagline on the Ernston Facebook page is literally redeeming Sayreville for Bon Jovi, one punk rock song at a time.
oh, what the fuck is wrong with Bon Jovi?
See, it's not the music of Bon Jovi, it's the idea of Bon Jovi.
Oh,
Just
like
everything
the
about Bon
douchiness?
Jovi. Just like he somehow found a way to make hair metal and glam rock more commercial and terrible than it already was, which is somewhat commendable because that's a feat and a half right there. But
Well, yeah, he basically took the
know.
heavy metal out of hair metal bands.
yeah,
Like there was one time
And-
where Motley Crue was considered a heavy metal band.
yeah, like even like Dr. Feelgood when they're starting to get big, but it's still just girthy. You know what I mean? It's riffy. He took the riffs out and replaced it for synths and like. What is that? What's that called? Is that like a syncopator? The wow wow wow.
Not sure.
I
need
guess
to
the
buy
wah
one of
pedal.
those.
Yeah, it's some kind of wah.
Yeah,
I think.
vocal wah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
As in, why are you doing this?
The funny thing I hear all the time is like people that listen to like bands like Bon Jovi, like older people, not even older people, anybody that listens to that like Iron Maiden, and then they're like, oh, fucking Disturbed, they're not metal. It's like, dude, you listen to one band that was considered like heavy metal back in the day, which is now like
Yeah.
soft kind of hard rock, and then you're calling Disturbed like I mean like pussy like metal.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. I mean, I know one's an oldie and one's a newer band, but I mean they're still differentiating like styles of heaviness. But.
Yeah, I see, like Disturbed. That one of the first heavy albums that I bought. I bought like Shadows Fall just because fucking Shadows Fall, and then I bought when Skeleton Witch put out Beyond the Permafrost. I literally rode my scooter 6 miles to Best Buy to buy it, and then 6 miles back to. I was in like 7th grade, and it was without permission. But I bought Indestructible at Walmart, and I thought it was tight. Like the whole like, it was almost like big beat, like the rhythms they use in that new metal stuff, where it's just like really rhythm driven. I don't know, like maybe the what's his name, David Dryman, is that the singer's name of Disturbed? I think.
He's Drayman.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like heavy metal scatting essentially at some parts, which I guess could turn some people off. But like that compared to. All right, Merry Go Round by Motley Crue, case in point. Literally just Vince Neil grabbing his balls as tight as he can and screaming "Merry Go Round and Round" for a 6-minute track. But Disturbed is where you draw the line. Come on, dude.
Yeah, I hate that. I totally do, but it's just I think it's more of like opinion. Like if you hate Disturbed, you're gonna make fun of it and say it's not metal, comparing it to Slayer, but you listen to Iron Maiden because it's cooler to listen to Iron Maiden because it's an oldie, You can get by listening to something that's not as heavy and the singer sounds like a girl because it's, it's Iron Maiden. I'm not saying that he's a bad singer. I like their style, but if you're comparing it to vocals nowadays, people would be like, he sounds like a girl. I hate this.
It's so weird. I feel like metal is the only like subculture where you see that happening. Like rock and roll, you're not gonna have someone who's like a Chuck Berry purist, like, oh, bro, I fucking hate the Black Keys. It's too much guitar, like, or like their tone is not the same as it was 20 years ago. Like, I feel like metal is the only place where we start seeing people like kind of dividing themselves based on different types of the same idea in music, and I really don't understand it. It doesn't make that much sense to me because I feel like metal at least is like one of the because punk's dead. We all know that. Metal's the only thing going that's still like it's still doing something that will not be mainstream. Like it's the real rebel music that's left because like you guys just had Lorna Shore on. They're Jersey boys. They're tight as hell. Like you're not gonna have Lorna Shore is not gonna have a crossover album that winds up in the top 40. Like the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten left the Sex Pistols and then had the label build a post-punk band for him. Like metal is the only thing that's still kind of as far from its roots as it has gotten. It's the only thing that at heart still does what it came to do, which is drive music forward and bring people together and rebel against, whatever it is we're being, the Bon Jovi shit.
Yeah.
But it's also the most divided group of fans that I think I've ever been a part of, let alone played in the scene of.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned Lorna Shore, like a deathcore, death metal, whatever the fuck you want to call them, band.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, they'll never have like a top 40 hit or never have that crossover album. But then you look at a band like Bring Me the Horizon, which basically did the exact same thing
that's
what you just said.
Yeah, I can't understand. I'm like, oh, I love this, Sempiternal. That album's awesome, but I can't get myself to listen to their older stuff. It's just not my type of metal.
I feel that too. When I was going through, like when Bring Me the Horizon first came on the scene, I was in probably like 8th grade. And that was the year, like I went to my first show outside of New Jersey, let alone just by myself. I saw the fucking Evisceration Plague Tour with Hatebreed, Cannibal Corpse, Born of Osiris, Unearth, Hate Eternal, and there was one more band. Was there another band? No, there wasn't another band. But I remember it so vividly. It was I was like 13, and it was my first time in a pit, and it was Nokia, Best Buy Theater now, Nokia Theater at the time in Manhattan. And I just saw like these big dudes punching each other in the face, and I was like, this is so badass.
Actually, it's the PlayStation Theater now. I mean, you have the evolutions of capitalism here.
Yeah, literally. Hey, it is closing up to Times Square. It is susceptible to the mecca that is the bourgeoisie capitalization on the human experience.
Now we're getting a little too technical into the vocabulary.
No, but I mean, like you're exactly right. Every time someone, even the last episode I just did yesterday, where we just put it up today with holy fuck, I just blanked out. Teddy from he's in a metalcore band from Chicago called Tanzan. And we were talking about like Chicago, where he was from, and he's like, yeah, I've never been to like your neck of the woods. He's like, what's there to do? I'm like, well, look, you should spend 30 minutes in Times Square, and you should never visit it again.
Yeah.
That's basically all you need. That's why I keep telling people, like, I know, because if you go there, there's nothing except a bunch of aggravation, a bunch of Eastern Europeans just like pushing you out of the way just to get a fucking picture. It's literally the mecca of getting your pickpocketed.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's so weird because New York has kind of progressed into like the way that I've always looked at it. I kind of like have this tendency to overanalyze everything a lot. Is like there were the two arts communities that were burgeoning in the 80s and the late 70s, where you had, the movement in the East Village, being like pushing forward with like the Velvet Underground stuff, all of the art rock, and then they grew up together, but pretty much on opposite sides of the spectrum. You had hip hop, which was coming, and just both innovating and creative. And I feel like what happened was after the Warhol era ended and it transitioned into the whole club kid movement, and art just progressed on that side of the city. It progressed to be more capitalist. And I think that, like, just more commercially accessible, I feel like that's what kind of opened New York and like brought it away from being just like the dingy like mecca that it was into like, utopia. And then, but we still have now the side that didn't not progress, but cross over into a completely commercialized scene. Yeah. It's kind of like it's being pushed out by the scene that was alongside it, with gentrifications coming in and just pushing everyone out of these areas. And we're going to lose a lot of the creativity, I feel like. And I feel like it's a testament to that, like ASAP Mob, they're all incredibly, like, they're geniuses. They're brilliant designers, brilliant rappers. They can formulate sentences and articulate them that on surface seem so just blanket, but then you look at it and you're like, wow, these guys are really clever, and they're saying some really cool things.
Exactly.
But like ASAP Ferg, his dad was a designer and a millionaire. Ferg grew up, I mean, I don't know the guy personally, so I don't want to just like bash like, oh yeah, Ferg's not street, because I don't know shit, but like, you know what I mean? It's like everybody has a story that's not as storied as I feel like a lot of people coming up, and that's happened with the city at large. I feel like too, it's become a lot more clean cut and just like all of the edge and like all the attractiveness of Manhattan and just the New York area, I think is gone. Like I feel like even kids like 5 years older than me, their parents would say, "Yo, you got to be careful when you go to the city. You know, watch your back at all times." But like, if my parents say that to me, and I'm like, for what? Like, just put your wallet in your front pocket, and that's all you have to worry about.
Yeah,
Dude,
basically.
I've never had any problems, and I go all the time.
Yeah,
It's almost disappointing, right?
a little bit. Yeah.
Like, not that I want to get the shit kicked out of me by any means, but like if I'm going, like the amount of times that I've walked through Chelsea and have not seen like one remnant of just shitty drug use at all just like blows my mind thinking back historically.
Yeah, you just want basically, Rent the musical, but in real life, where like everyone has issues, everyone has problems. You see like shit on the street.
Yeah.
You want to go back to the days where it was
Yeah.
like in the '80s, where you had nothing but fucking porno booths, porno theaters, strippers. You had fucking prostitutes in Times Square. You want that shit that made New York, New York. Like if you think about like the Ramones coming up today, or like the Talking Heads coming up today, or fucking Velvet Underground coming up today, do you honestly think they would have such an impact?
No, not at all. And I think that's a lot of it is why, a lot of the shit that's coming up now that's getting popular, like the Wonder Years, and all that stuff, it's just about like the weird disillusionment that like, like suburban kids, like we're on the outskirts of the city that we hear and read all this shit about, but like, I'm 20 years old. I've lived like no amount of life yet. Like, but I don't know anywhere I could go that for a weekend I could just be like, oh fuck yeah, I'm not the suburban kid anymore. Like I go there to try to escape, and like I've walked around the village, just like looked at shit, like gone to random just places because I'm like, oh maybe I can meet some people here who think the way I do and stuff. Like just talk about this random obscure shit that if I even say that I like it anywhere else, people oh okay, say something else that's obnoxious, Jimmy. But like. There's nothing, and I feel like a lot of it there's a sense of isolation now in the suburbs that I don't think was here before, at least watching movies, because I'm feeling I feel nostalgic all the time for stuff that I never lived through. Like there's no kids. I don't know how much time you guys spend in like the Jersey side of the burbs, but there's no kids out playing at all ever, like literally ever. In the summer I think I saw like 3 bicycles and they were chained to fences. And it like unless you go out of your way to find someone to spend time with you, you're not going to spend time with anyone. And when you're spending time with them, you don't know what the fuck there is to do because nobody's doing anything.
True.
So you can just go spend money on like the pulp bullshit and just watch the terrible recycled book movies or action movies or remakes of semi-decent movies, or just fuck around and make music. And I think like with the amount of people who are turning to it now, we're going to get a really cool wave, like a new culture, hopefully soon. But it's such a weird time, man. It's like the millennial thing, like, because there are kids who are straight up the millennial trash that everyone.
Oh, absolutely,
100%. I know that for a fact, but it just sucks. Like, if there are artistic minds, they're either just not being like brought up and nurtured, or they're just like they don't like. Why give a shit at this point? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost hard to be like, okay, yeah, I'll just go hop in a van and tour the whole summer away, and come back with nothing. But at least like. I made my impact. That's not enough for a lot of people like it used to be, and that bums me out too.
Oh yeah, I see that all the time with bands. Like going out on tour, like, all right, we're gonna play. We might be playing a little bit of bars, but we're gonna play to like 200-300 people every night. We're gonna make thousands of dollars coming in there. And then the first show they go out to, they're playing in front of like a fucking bartender and the sound guy, and they're like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah. You know what? I do have a scholarship. I might just do that and then get like 6 other regular jobs so I never have to deal with, being sad, because that's what's going to fill the void, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I went on tour this summer with Chasing Down Sunset, and we're still in debt. But like we had a ton of fun. There were shows on that tour. Like we played Revolution in Long Island.
Oh yeah.
And like headlining that on your first tour, like seeing your poster up between OTEP and Less Than Jake, like straight up boner food. But like, and then we played in Columbus, and we played at the this really cool spot called Cafe Kerouac.
Okay.
Which is it's a bookstore / record store / comic book store. with their main focus being that it's a coffee shop, and they also have a stage.
Okay.
So like it is just like it's like the most college place to ever exist other than a college. So like I went in and there was just people with all these different colors of hair and shit, and like it felt like there was like, you know, like you go in to see shows now, like if you go to Starland and it's any type of band basically other than really, really niche, like the heavy stuff
Yeah.
or the really weird stuff, it's going to be people of all walks of life.
Absolutely.
Like people there at Cafe Kerouac, it was one of the first places that I went where I was like, wow, like, not that I could say like, oh, these people look like they're in a movement together, like, but like they were like, they looked like they were a community, you know what I mean? And they made sense to be there together. And we're a pop punk band. Everyone else at the time in the band was 16 and I was 20. And so like we're just these punk ass kids from New Jersey rolling up in the middle of Ohio. And that show, we couldn't find a show in Ohio at all. So we just booked it ourselves, and like we had to find our own locals and literally run the show ourselves.
Jesus.
When we got to the venue. But yeah, this cool dude, his name's Zach Bask. He books a lot up there. I mean, it's a good connect now because next time we go up there, this won't happen. But he wound up helping us out and finding some locals. And that show, like the stage was probably like 10 feet by 20 feet and only like a foot off the ground. And there was just a bunch of people just kind of standing there scattered throughout this bookstore. And we sold like 2 records and made like $30. But that shit, like that show was probably just as, if not more exciting to me than it was playing Revolution. Like, I like the idea of when you go to a state, you're playing there because they allowed you to come into their home and perform for them.
Yeah, exactly.
And whether or not you succeed from it, I feel like is an afterthought, or at least it should be, because you're being granted the opportunity. Like me, like if I was touring and I was 16, like the rest of Chasing Down Sunset, like I wouldn't be able to wrap my mind around the fact, like, this is a state that I literally have no reason to be in at all ever in my life, probably.
Yeah.
But I'm here playing a show and people are giving a shit. Like, and that's insane. Like, as long as I have enough gas to get home, you could pay me in like peanuts. I don't care. But like it's not, especially this day and age, man, like everything has moved on to be 100% about making money in your future, even though everything you do to secure those things is usually just going to fall through on you. But like, it's hard. Like if I was 5 years younger, if I was their age, like 16, I don't think that I'd give a shit enough. Well,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I really don't. Like, I don't know where they find it, let alone me. Like, it's weird, dude. But I think that's why everything has also moved to be more extreme. The metal bands are way more metal. The weird bands are way more weird. It's because everyone's trying to find the new way to go because it's all just gone stale.
No, absolutely.
So I'm excited about the future, but New York isn't going to be a part of it, I don't think, unfortunately. To tie that all back together somehow.
No, I do hear you there, but, you know, people have to understand that, you know, great things don't happen overnight. Like, we evolved into this society where we want shit now. And if we don't get it now, we're going to keep doing something. Exactly. We're going to keep doing something else until we find, you know, this instant gratification of, holy shit, look what I did. Ha, 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 ha. Now you're following in my footsteps, you know?
Yeah. That's the thing. Now, like, this is such a unique time in history for people who want to create, because it's not like a wave just ended and we're evolving from it. I feel like the early 2000s was like the last giant era of music where you had like the emo and the emo pop scenes. And then we had metal came up for like 2010 to 2013 was just Starland every day was a metal band.
Oh, yes.
Every day.
Yep.
It was everywhere. Like the scene was metal. But now it's kind of just like this void of, okay, well, the indie bands are all on Z100 now. The metal bands, like Bring Me the Horizon, I wasn't into it, but like they were metal as fuck. Like for the middle school kids, like a dude screaming about whores, like as cheesy as it is in retrospect, it's pretty fucking badass.
Oh, absolutely.
But like everyone's going so far in every direction because I don't think anyone can figure out what to make next, because so much has been done. And so like we can just look back at all of these great points in time. So we're all focused on the whole like legacy of your art and, you know, what it will mean 20 years from now. But nobody wants to work for 20 years and then wait another 20 to look back on it.
Yeah.
Like there's bands that'll put out 3 albums, be like, okay, well, we got a little bit of attention on this. I don't think anyone's going to remember it. So I'm just going to scrap this and then start a band that's closer to what's getting popular right
Exactly.
now. Like it's so lame. Everything bums me out, dude. I'm kind of a cynical asshole, in case you didn't know. I should have warned you in the emails.
We can't make it tonight. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Come up with some bullshit excuse.
Gross.
No, but I mean, I think the last truly unique thing I've seen, and this actually came out of New Jersey. I think this might have been a little bit before your time. Did you ever hear of a band called Folly?
I have heard of. I have not listened though. I think my vocal coach said something about them.
Okay.
Were they around with like the Ugly Club?
Oof.
Around that time, or like
who
else is coming up in Jersey?
Well, I mean, this was going back to maybe 2003, 2004. So this was like the time where, you know, you had the pop punk bands, you had the screamo bands, like everyone wanted to sound like, you know, like Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
Like it's around that time.
Yeah.
But they were the only bands that literally invented a genre, and it was called ska core. Meaning they had ska riffs over it, and they did hardcore. And it was brilliant.
Yes, no, I do know Folly. Yes. Shit. Wow, I remember that band. Yeah, but that's the thing too. Like, as tight as that is, it's literally just combining 2 distinct things. You know, like, it's so weird. It's so weird. But yeah, Folly was tight, and then like ska was, I think, also probably the last one too. That like just ska core and ska and like all the derivatives of that final wave.
Yeah.
Like that's the only movement that I think is like still cohesive.
Well, I mean, like, ska, you really can't half-ass. Like, I mean, you could have all the players, but if you sound like shit, you know, you sound like shit. You can't fucking hide that. But, like, everything else, it's like, okay, I could play a power chord here, I could play a power chord there, but, you know, you're not going to become, like, the next Streetlight Manifesto. You're not going to be the next Less Than Jake. You're not going to be the next, you know, Real Big Fish and all these, like, big-ass bands that have been around doing this music for the last, you know, 20-something fucking years now. So...
Yeah, they're big because ska had like a very small window to break through in the 90s, and they happened to be there. Like we still have great ska bands in Jersey. Like Survey Says was killing it forever. Like they were doing like
Backyard Superheroes.
200 day. I booked their first show ever. I was like 16, and I booked them at the South Amboy Elks Lodge.
Oh wow.
Those bands are so great, but it sucks because I feel like unless something really, really great happens to pull through for them, they'll never get the recognition they deserve. Because I feel like those bands are better. Real Big Fish, I think, I'm not a fan of Real Big Fish. I feel like if I had the opportunity to switch Backyard Superheroes and Real Big Fish in like the musical conscious, I totally would. But like there's no other way to come up and join those bands. Just like in metal, there's no way to come up and join the level of the big 4. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You got to hope that 20 years from now, you'll be in the big 4 of whatever the fuck it is that you're playing right now.
Yeah. It's weird. And like we said before, no one these days are going to put the time in unless, you know, you were in your 30s and you're going, okay, you know, it's either this or a full-time job. And I don't want to do that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like people tend to run to or run from things a lot now. And like, even if you're just doing it when you're 30 and just dropping everything and like, fuck this, I don't want a full-time job, I'm going to tour all the time. Like, more power to you, but you're still running from something. You know what I mean? I feel like nobody's just open to just making stuff and seeing what happens and putting the effort in when you believe in it.
No, I completely understand with that. I mean, that's basically what we're doing. Like,
you guys are killing it. Like, it's so tight. I love it. Like, I feel like everyone who does something where their hobby can become part of like just their overall, like, oh, your name, somebody hears your name, they're like, oh, that's the guy who does this. Or like, that's what the people you're friends with, that's what they think of when they think of you. No matter what it is, even if it's just like you really like making coloring books and getting them published.
We love
Like,
doing
that's
that, by the way.
like-
Yeah, we're fucking huge colorers.
Yo, you
I
should
fucking
definitely
always
do
color
like
inside the
a
lines.
Behind the Barricade coloring book, and you guys just fucking design terrible drawings of everyone on the podcast, but only phone interviews. So in your mind, it's what you think they look like.
Even though we have no access to the internet or anything.
You made me look like a
Yeah, no.
douchebag.
Actually,
Just
that's
do
kind
all
of
of your
accurate.
calls from an isolated location. Do it.
If we had any artistic talent, we'd do that in a fucking heartbeat, but I can't draw for shit. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, no, I can't do stick figures.
Yeah.
I saw a thing. Maybe it was a TED Talk. I think it was a TED Talk. It came up randomly on my YouTube, but it was like some guy talking, obviously on the TED Talk thing, about like everyone can draw. I guess it's like a scientific fact or some shit that like you can develop the ability to draw. I don't know. I
Well,
didn't watch
basically
it. but-
saying like everyone can sing, which is technically true because
Yeah.
you just have to work on your voice.
It's all
Yeah.
muscle memory. Yeah.
Well,
It's just,
and there's, like, a
figuring out how to
difference,
make
too,
your
like-
muscles do shit, but
There's a difference between knowing how to sing and having a good voice, you know?
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. You
It's
can
like
know where the
frickin-
notes are and how to hit them. But
It's just exactly like that band Nevermore. Everyone loved the fucking music and hated the singer. I mean,
Yep.
he was a good singer, just we hated his voice, you know?
yeah, Front Bottoms too. I'm a huge fan of their one album. I can't really get into the rest of the stuff for some reason. I don't know why, but like he's singing in key. It just doesn't necessarily sound like he's singing.
Yeah, I hear you on there. There's so many bands that are like that, and it's, you know what, you can't even pinpoint it and say, okay, look, you know, this guy can't sing. It's like clearly he can. You just don't like the voice for whatever reason.
Yeah.
and that's okay. That is fine.
hmm
And then there are people
Yeah,
that
'cause
go on
there-
the
there's no
fucking
point.
American Idol and they can't sing.
Yeah,
At the time being, obviously.
Wait, do you remember Sanjaya? Do you remember Sanjaya?
yeah. He was a
That shit
fucking
was
joke.
incredible. Dude, he was terrible, but then people just kept voting for him because it was funny.
Yeah,
I was in third grade. I don't know why the fuck. Why do I remember Sanjaya? Oh, and William Hung. Holy shit.
I was just about to mention that. I was
Okay.
like, William Hung had an album out.
Yeah. They gave him a
Yeah,
record deal or
I
some
remember
shit.
I had KOL, Kids American Online.
Yes,
And they had a feature about William Hung's new album, and he just was talking about how grateful he was. And I think that's the first time that I ever felt like an asshole, because I was reading that and I was like, oh my God, this guy's so sweet. Why did I say these terrible things about him? And then I clicked the preview link and I was like, oh, that's why. But
justified.
like,
Tell me.
that's the thing. Like, it's almost that. Wow, American Idol. I'm about to just keep tripping off about why kids my age suck with how they approach music. But like American Idol, we think that's the thing. American Idol is that instant gratification, because even if
Yeah.
you don't win, you're still on TV singing in front of millions of people.
Yeah.
Like that's enough. That'd be enough for me to like call it a day. If I fail and I'm not like 100% committed to trying to make music, I'm just gonna be like, all right, well, fucking, I did it. Like,
I'm sure you
like
know the
that's
band,
the instant.
Dream Theater, right?
Oh, of course.
They have this they did it with Lars too. I'll talk about that afterwards, but they did like this YouTube mashup where they make it seem like James LaBrie tried out for American Idol, and freaking Simon just rips on him. Dude, it looks like it legit happened. Dude, you got to watch this YouTube video. It'll make you cry. It's hysterical. He's like singing some kind of like ballad song, like I don't know. It sounds like some kind of like ballad Christmas song. James LaBrie is fucking singing it, and then Simon's like, "You're just terrible," and then you see him like hang his head. Dude, it's hysterical.
There was a video like that. But like she was actually on X Factor. She called herself a holistic vocal coach, and she said that she taught Matt Tuck from Bullet for My Valentine how to scream.
Oh shit.
And she composed this piece where she just was like singing about herself and then changing like what style she was doing, and she's like screaming and shit. And I thought it was badass, but Simon is sitting there with like not even his patented look of horror. It was a brand new one I had never seen.
Brand new. He patented it.
Oh,
And,
God.
and that's the thing too. Like that's a testament to also how, you know, these alternative forms of music really are metal is the only real thing that's refusing to be accepted by people who don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
Because Simon Cowell has no interest in metal, so of course he was.
Yeah, and he'll be
off.
like, "You're a fucking terrible singer." It's like, well, if you got used to it and I actually understood why they're doing what they're doing, you know, you'd probably. But
Yeah.
that's with everything. Obviously, there's a certain style of music I might say is shit because I don't understand it. You know, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget. There was one American Idol video. It was like one of the audition ones, and of course they brought this kid on because it was funny, and he did screaming. He did "Smashed into Pieces" by Silverstein, and it really wasn't that bad. Like it was pretty good, but of course the judges just fucking wrote him off like that. I'm like,
oh,
but it was actually not bad.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's American Idol, not like American artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like they're looking for an icon. They're looking for the next Kelly Clarkson, which for the life of me, I can't understand why the fuck she's still relevant.
She's like not even relevant.
She's really clinging. She's trying to cling to it. She wound up just screaming on all of her records too. So why the fuck don't you people like Dying Fetus? I don't understand.
Dying Fetus. Another video you got to check out is when Dream Theater lost Mike Portnoy. They did a mashup like how they did with James LaBrie, but with Lars trying out, and they're like interviewing him.
God.
We are really impressed.
I saw
like,
that. I did see that.
Dude, that video is hysterical because I'm like sitting here thinking it's real. Like at a moment, like this can't be possible. Like there's no way James LaBrie can play Dream Theater songs. Not James LaBrie. There's no way that Lars can play Dream Theater songs. There's no way. And they're like, oh, he did very well. I'm like,
the kick pedal now.
Yeah. They're like, oh, he did very well. I'm like, this can't be happening. And then I'm like, all right, it's fake. I get it. I'm like, dude, if he did very well, sign me up. I'll fucking play Dream Theater.
Yeah, shit.
God, it's all about getting those drums to be metallic as fuck.
Yeah.
That's basically what Lars is. Just if we go back to
the
the
same. I'm so mad, dude. Because Saint Anger would have been such a tight album if that had never happened.
Exactly.
But dude, my problem with him is like, it's just like it's not like back in the day. All right, Lars was maybe that like iconic drummer, but nowadays, like yeah, maybe he's old, but dude, you have like fucking like they're probably in their 50s. I don't know. I don't really pay that much attention to Metallica,
something
but
like that.
you have guitar players in their 50 like shredding sometimes and like chugging and playing some pretty semi maybe technical
Look
shit.
at Slayer. Slayer's a perfect example.
Yeah, but not as much as they used to. But then you hear fucking Lars in every song just doing like the 2s and 4s. And just playing like exactly, it's like, dude, I need to fucking play this for this band because I'm like, not that I want to make it like crazy technical like Dream Theater, but it's like, dude, this is fucking metal. Stop playing like, and they're like, I just don't understand how like Kirk Hammett could be okay with that like style of drumming. It's like you're in like that
Lars
fucking
basically
iconic.
Started Metallica.
Yeah.
Is the only reason that because he came up with the name too. Well, he didn't come up with it. It was something like somebody he knew was going to start a magazine and call it Encyclopedia Metallica. Like he was between two names. So Lars convinced him to use the other name, and then he took Metallica as the name of the band.
Yeah, I think I read that.
Because he's fucking
Lars of course I took Metallica. Yeah.
Oh
that
man,
fucking dumb voice. He still
and it's
does.
so funny. They're all like, "Oh, he's such a good businessman." I'm like, I can't see it, man. Like he just seems like too much of like a crazy airhead, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't talk to the guy because he looks like he's always chewing something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'll take it back though. A little bit. He does seem like a very like brilliant guy. He just seems like someone that's when you talk to someone who's very brilliant but they're just way too paranoid. He kind of like reminds me in a sense like that,
Yeah, like a way toned down version of Pink, like the character Pink from The Wall. Like if you just made him like. Instead of just insane, he just really likes tennis. I bought a poster when I was on my Saint Anger kick because I would ignore the drums. But like Unnamed Feeling, it's so tight. Like I was reading a book about vampires by S.E. Hinton, which like she wrote The Outsiders and then tried to write a vampire novel, which is really just a weird concept in itself. Yeah. But I would read that and listen to Saint Anger, and like they worked really well together. Like it was just one of those great coincidental, like complementary pieces to just like throw into your life at one time. So I bought a Metallica poster because I was just really hyped on him, and I guess I didn't look at it closely enough because it's literally just like the worst local band picture ever, but they're all grown men and millionaires. James Hetfield is wearing his like the Sacred Heart of Jesus is just that's all there is on his t-shirt.
What?
And then his cowboy belt and then bootcut jeans with sneakers.
Oh, Jesus.
Lars Ulrich is wearing a plain gray t-shirt and then Adidas track pants and tennis shoes.
Was this a fucking corn
Rob-
photo shoot?
Like
I know,
was
right?
like, it looks like the dad band that's playing the bar around the corner. And like
guys,
they
we're here to
even
play some
midlife
covers. It's
crisis
Metallica.
Rob. Like they put Rob in a polo.
Oh my
sorry, you're
God.
breaking up. I couldn't hear you at all.
Mr. Suicidal Tendencies in a fucking polo.
In a polo and baggy jeans. Like, I think they were really just trying to capitalize on the ethnic part while they could have, because I feel like Lars definitely would be like, oh, well, we could branch out to a new market. He was in Suicidal Tendencies. They the people who are
it's a
actually
new market, man.
into metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like, and then just like, did you guys ever hear of a kick pedal? The new album was the first time I ever heard him use a kick pedal effectively. I was rather impressed.
What, like double
On
pedal,
that
the
side.
newest one?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I heard that. I'm like, holy shit, Lars is playing double bass again? Like, did he start practicing
I was like,
or
yeah,
something?
either he got a really great double bass pedal or that studio is armed with some really tight triggers.
Yeah, but then if you hear, like, I think it's Moth to the Flame, there's totally like a mistake. Like one of the hits isn't as on time, and I'm just like, this is fucking Metallica. Like I shouldn't be hearing mistakes in the drums,
Especially because that they spent more time in post-production than they did actual production.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And like this is a band too, like Kill 'Em All, instead of playing at 450 hertz, they played at 445. That way nobody could play along to the record and make it sound right. Like they intentionally tuned slightly wrong, like a fraction of a note, just to fuck with people. But now Lars can't even get his kick drum in time, and you guys have enough money to make sure he does.
Yeah. They're like, all right, this is the best we're gonna do. There's gonna have to be this mistake on the album.
Yeah.
We don't have time to re-record it. It's got to be out.
Yeah, and Metallica fans will wait for an album. Because what was it, like 10 years between Saint Anger and then Death Magnetic?
No, I think it was like
it was
7,
a big
right?
gap.
I think it was
I'm
like
gonna Google
no.
this.
Wait a second. Saint Anger I think was like maybe 03. I think Death Magnetic was 08. I want to say.
Oh yeah, 08 definitely sounds right for that. Actually, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want to know what that happens like nowadays too, like Breaking Benjamin, Evanescence. They go through like those breaks. Obviously, Metallica didn't because they're still the same original members, minus obviously the bass player. But
Yeah, and then Ron McGovney too, the old school bass guy.
Yep.
And then Dave Mustaine, he wound up better off probably.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just as insane as the rest of them are now, but.
Yeah, I don't know how it is for most bands, but I really think that like Gap really helps them. It's like you hear like Evanescence, like they came out with their newest album, and I think like it just blew up. It's just like people, like when you're fans for years, you're like, all right, I love Disturbed or whatever, but I'm not gonna buy their album. And then it's years, and then all of a sudden they come out with a new album, and you're just like, you're kind of blown away a little bit that they're back and their music is good. All right, you know what? I'm actually going to buy a Disturbed album this year. So it's like, oh, now they had to jump in sales because they've been out of commission for a couple of years, and people are just more excited than when they had a steady stream of music coming out from the band.
Yeah, definitely it'll rejuvenate it too. If you were definitely one of those like. You get one great shot at it, and then you don't necessarily fall short, but you don't blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's good, like because it's the experience of getting to buy the record. I think that helps those bands. Like Jimmy Eat World, I don't think it's even really been that long since they put a record out, but they put out this new one and they're everywhere. I'm planning on going and buying a physical copy just because, like, fuck, like I get to buy a Jimmy Eat World record now. Like it's 2016. That's so badass.
Mm-hmm.
But. Yeah, Metallica are the kings of nostalgia because I feel like they've been skating by on a lot of the same old tricks, but they keep like kicking ass though. I leave it all to Kirk. It's all Kirk and Rob now. Mm-hmm. I feel like the power dynamic has switched.
Well, that's the thing. I think I read an article on, I want to say Loudwire, was it? Where they were talking with Kirk Hammett, and Kirk basically said that, he was frustrated with how the record came out because usually, like every other record, it was basically James, Kirk, and Lars. And James and Lars basically got into like a little groove on this album and basically said, all right, Kirk, we got it from here. Just come up with your dumb solos. We're good.
Your dumb
wow.
solos.
Yeah, I think that's basically...
That doesn't surprise me at all.
No, but But the thing is, like, this is a hell of a lot better than what Death Magnetic was. This was a hell of a lot better than what Saint Anger was. So was Kirk really the issue?
I feel like,
I don't know.
honestly,
I thought Death Magnetic was a good album. And some of the new songs sound, people are like, oh, this sounds like new Metallica. And I'm like, I don't know how you don't hear it, but this sounds exactly like their previous album,
Yeah.
Like
I think the thing is, sorry, what?
No, I forget the track. One of the first, like the first track or something off Death Magnetic, it sounds almost the same. Like you could put this song off that album, you wouldn't notice.
All Nightmare Long. I forget what the new track is, but it was All Nightmare Long. Yeah, no, I know what exactly the same. Exactly the same. I think that the thing is, like, they finally, like, they got away from Bob Rock long enough to, like, be not annoying.
Oh, that was
studio.
Just Your Life. That was Just Your Life. That song sounds like Moth to the Flame. Like the riff. It's just like a copycat.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they're riff monsters, but they've kind of like wrote every riff they could have at this point. I feel like,
and now they're just
there's only
playing
so much
like
you can do.
Yeah, now and if you hear like now they're just playing like groovy, riffs. They're not trying to do anything crazy, and it's just I don't know. I could definitely hear people like listening to the new Metallica and just being like, "Come on, this is Metallica. I've heard this before." Like from many other bands.
They should just go in They should definitely just go in a Mr. Bungle direction. I think that'll throw everyone, and then they'll be the greatest band on earth again.
But I do agree with them though, in the sense that they're like, if Death Magnetic was put out under a different band's name, everyone would love it. But since it's Metallica, people freak out.
Yeah,
I totally
100%.
agree with that.
Saint Anger too.
Yeah, I could see that. Like if Machine Head put out those two
more
albums,
than an emo album. Yeah, 100%. If it was Rob Flynn instead of James Hetfield, everyone would be, "Oh my God, this is revolutionary."
yeah.
It's Metallica, so like, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that.
Yeah, and don't you love how that song is like the most produced out of any like of the new Metallica songs? Like you listen to that song and then you listen to like the drums off Death Magnetic and you're like, how did they go down in quality? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it was probably when they moved from their $1 million houses to their $30 million houses. They probably just left some of it in the basement.
Yeah,
they left the quality there.
Or they're like, you know what? Music isn't the same as it used to. We really got to dumb down the quality to make as much money as we can.
That's true.
Yeah, no, that would make sense.
I feel like because
how much they lost a lot of money. They planned that festival and it went to shit, right? Orion Fest fell through one year.
I just feel like with the way people talk about like Lars and Metallica and that like they don't want people downloading their stuff and like they care so much like on that business side of it. I feel like they would do something like that, Like, all right, we're going to dumb down the quality just to save cost and make a little extra more money,
I feel like it's definitely either that or like your grandma just got her first iPhone. Like she's trying to figure it out. That's what they're doing with all of this like 2016 studio software. They're like, oh, shit, I don't know what. All right, I guess that sounds right. Okay, cool. Let's just do it and say that we know how to studio.
Or it could just be like, we can't go to that new sounding polished rock. We have to stay the typical Metallica where there's mistakes.
That's still gritty thrash.
Yeah, that's like it's still old, like an old style. It can't be that new polished As I Lay Dying feel.
But like that, like Load and Reload, like you're straight up like if that came out now, it would just be butt rock. Like no one would take that. They'd be touring with like 3 Days Grace.
Yeah,
and like the bands that people are like, oh, these bands are cool, but like I don't give a shit overall about them.
Yeah.
Like. But those albums that came out at the right time, I guess. But like, I feel like Metallica is trying like to get back to metal when they left it behind. But I think they're transitioning back towards it. At least with the new album, it sounds like it. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, obviously, but
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, I need to know now.
Damn you. It's funny. We've been talking for basically 45 minutes now, and we briefly mentioned the two bands you were in.
Sorry, everyone, that we went off on a huge ass fucking tangent.
But that's the beauty of our shows. We love the tangents.
The best part, like I'm not even in a metal band, but I still like I can bullshit. Like you were bringing up suppressed memories about Metallica. I didn't even know I still had. This
All
is
that
tight.
fuel and hatred is just coming out.
There you go.
Fuck.
So, anyways,
The band I was in was a metal band. The only reason that I'm in, like, I'm doing shit now is because of metal.
really, wow.
And I like to think I brought that attitude into it at least a little bit, like with how I approach it at least. Like Chasing Down Sunset. I don't. How I wound up in that band is a story and a half. I started Ernston. I was playing in a bunch of bands since like the first band I started. I was in 8th grade. I was playing bass, and we called ourselves a technical death metal band called Transcendentalist. And we never did shit. We just had a MySpace page and thought that's all it took to be a band. And
Yeah,
then
more
we
or
owned
less,
instruments because it was 8th grade. And then I was in a hardcore band that I don't even want to speak about by name because it was terrible.
Oh no, what's the name? You can't fucking tease us. What's the name?
Well, first it was called Born Dead Buried Alive with a colon, like exactly ripped from. Oh, what band was it? Oh, it was some band that the bassist really liked, and Born Dead colon Buried Alive.
As he's searching on
Oh,
his
The
phone.
Agonist. The Agonist.
Yeah, I like that band.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Who they
Yeah, we named it
traded
after The Agonist.
They traded singers with Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
I
Like,
remember
we'll take whatever.
We're gonna do a trade here, all right? We good with the commissioner? Okay,
The
yeah,
heavy
we're
metal
trading.
draft.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You have to approve this.
And,
You got 2 days
that
before it hits
evolved
waivers.
into. Yeah, no, and then every time a new band starts, it's like an expansion team, and all the bands need to be open to at least losing one member. You can only protect 3.
All right, she's my keeper.
But yeah, that evolved. That evolved into just another really bad hardcore band called Set the Standard. Actually, no, we had some
That's not a
decent
bad
songs
name.
there because we got a guitarist. It's a cool name, but like as I would talk to people too, like I know at least 4 other people who have been in a band called Set the Standard when they were 15,
Oh.
which is just hilarious. And then through that band, I met at a Battle of the Bands. There was this band called Stereotypical, who were really cool pop punk. And I've been doing musical theater since I was 8. Like I had never really thought of singing in a band. I never like put the two together. I was like, yeah, singing, I do that in theater, and then screaming and shit, that's what I do in my bands.
Yeah.
And then I saw them, and like we broke down. Kevin Smart was their drummer's name. We're still tight now. He's in the Stolen now. But we became friends. Me and him would hang out and just talk about like Queen and shit. We played hacky sack in his basement and just talked about Bohemian Rhapsody for like 2 hours once, which is such a like an 80s statement. But and then they kicked their singer out, and he messaged me on Facebook. He's like, "Yo, dude, you can sing, right?" And I like thought about it for a second. Like I was like, I don't know, can I do that in a band? How does that work? And then I just said yeah. And then I joined the band and then was playing with them. And that was the first time I was in a pop punk band. And I was like, I'm never screaming in a band again.
You found your
I don't-
niche. You found your calling.
Yeah. I mean, my calling gets weirder and more ridiculous every day because I just start thinking too much. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. And that's why I'm in bands instead of a solo project, because everyone will be like, Jimmy, you need to calm the fuck down, dude. It doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not even like, you think you sound innovative, but that's just literally retarded. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry.
So Kanye West's
And
new
I'm like,
album.
okay, you guys are right. Yeah, no, I would be so beyond Jesus if I didn't have people who knew what they were doing with me. But yeah, Ernston, we did this really cool short 4-track EP. I was like a raging alcoholic in high school, like starting like junior year,
Jesus.
which is really shitty, but it's cool. Yeah, I'm sober. What's the date?
Shit.
Oh, I'm
December 7th.
9 months sober in 11 days,
Wow,
which
man.
is crazy.
And
yeah.
It was that big of a problem?
Yeah, it was bad. It cost me a lot of stuff, personally, and just in general, like, it kind of sucks. Like, you can tell your parents change how they look at you because, like, when they come to wake you up in the morning, it's not just like, okay, got to get him ready for school. It's like, oh shit, like, what am I gonna find him down there? Like, yeah, it was a pretty shitty thing. It all started like I got into metal bands because I didn't suffer like a severe trauma. I think it's just kind of like as a person, I was really weak and I didn't want to deal with things. So I kind of just would always try to find different ways to ignore it. And then I just kind of like built up this character for myself and then would drink to ignore the fact that I wasn't being who I was. But then that carried on for like 3 or 4 years. until this March. But yeah, that first EP is all about like that was the first time that I had been honest and open about anything at all. Like singing about how like I was explaining how I feel to myself writing those songs because I really had no idea. I was like so wrapped up in just being like half drunk and half asleep at all times, like, and just not like it's not like I didn't have friends because nobody wanted to be my friends. It's just I didn't give anyone a reason to want to spend time with me.
Yeah.
And so like I kind of would retreat to myself and just like write shit and just try to come up with like fun, witty little like phrases to throw in here and there. And then like reading it back, I'd be like, oh wow, okay, I guess like that's what I feel. And like I understood myself. So like Ernston's kind of like my therapy diary band. And somehow it got real, like in our town at least, people really liked it. Like we would be playing a bar like 2 blocks behind my house. We would pack like 80 kids in there, and it just blew my mind. I'm like, I'm just singing these songs about how I don't know what the fuck's going on with myself at all, and how I kind of want to die, and these people are happy about it. That's weird, but awesome. I'm gonna keep doing it. Yeah, and then we played a show with Chasing Down Sunset. And they had one release out at the time, and I was like, I love everything about this band except their singer. And then like a month later, he was out of the band, and so I was just like, yo, what's good, guys? You guys want a singer? And they were like, fuck yeah, dude. And then we put out a record like 2 months later, and then went on tour at the same like that all happened really fast. It was I joined Chasing Down Sunset like 2 months before I got sober, and they kind of like pushed me to want to be a good person just because like they're like some of the most competent and incredible musicians and individuals that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing, let alone working with. And they're younger than me, like considerably. And I was like, I can't just come around these kids with my shit and just be like, you know, reeking of malt liquor and disillusionment at all times.
Of course,
and just ruin these kids' lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I realized about like a month into being there, I was like, there's no reason for me to have beer stocked in this girl's garage's refrigerator. That is absolutely insane because they are 16 years old and you're being ridiculous. And then yeah, 2 months after I joined, 3 months after I joined, I got sober, and I've stuck to it thankfully. And that tour, it was awesome. Like the tour is really introspective, I think, because even though like I was in a van with some of the best friends that I've ever had at like, and we're going all these places and playing shows and meeting all these people, but it's still there's the element of just being alone because you're entering a new world, and it's not like you pause the one at home, you know what I mean? We were only gone for like 10 days, but there's so much shit you miss, and like the only thing you have like is kind of like your brain. So I was just thinking about myself a lot, and I was like, okay, I definitely need to do an Ernston record because I'm in such a different place now where I have all of these opinions and just like all these views on everything, and just I think so much and I feel so much, and like I can finally say things about something other than myself, and like I can finally make a record where I'll put my voice on it and it won't just be sad or just like why is this on an album? Like, dude, just keep this to yourself. Like I can write things that people will relate to even if they haven't been in really shitty circumstances. I think I just focus too hard on showing how bad you can get, which is kind of lame, and I know that now. So the new record is just like I'm writing a lot of weird stuff. Like it's straight up like Harvey Danger meets Weezer and Say Anything, but like way more cynical in a way. Like I don't know. I like to look at songwriting in a much different way now. Like Chasing Down Sunset, we had on our EP that we put out this July a proper introduction. The closing track was Positivity in Transit, which was an acoustic song. Me and Jill wrote it with our producer Rob Sharapa, and I had the lyrics written. It was supposed to be an Ernston song because it was literally like just I tried to write a song to just say how sad I felt. But then, and like, so this song was originally written like 2014. And then I was looking at it and I was like, this is actually like really cathartic. Like just looking at the way it's written, and I can have somebody else's voice on it singing with me. I could make this a really cool track about like how I'm finally leaving that whole chapter of bullshit behind and moving on to become like a real human being instead of just you know, whatever it was that I was. And so that song went out, and I like to think that that's where I can finally stop. Like, that's the end of me writing about where I was then, and just like the whole problem that I had with my addiction. I don't even want to call it an addiction, because it was really just self-centered indulgence, I guess.
Well, that's basically what it is, though.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's the part about getting sober that I'm kind of mad at myself, like, because I didn't go to treatment or anything. I just kind of woke up one night, and like, I had a breaking point that night where I was totally conscious but couldn't control myself, and I saw a lot of like the crazy shit I would do, and apparently like that's what I did every time I got drunk, and none of it was like good at all. And I was like, okay, that's enough. And then I just literally went cold turkey from that day, which is like, half of me is really like, all right, good shit, dude. Like, you could do this. You have the willpower of a golden god. And then the other half of me is like, you asshole. Like, why didn't you just do this before? Why did you have to wait so long?
Because you needed that.
It's a really weird thing. Yeah, it's so weird because, like, literally, I built a character because I knew I was too weak to deal with life at that point, and then I just let it get so far out of hand that literally, like I remember my middle school days so vividly. I remember 100% of middle school. I could tell you at least 4 stories about every teacher I had in middle school, but nothing about high school, because I feel like I just like I shut my brain off so efficiently throughout those years that it didn't take in any new memories. So all I have is like from March until now, bits and pieces of high school, and then everything from beforehand. And like, so I'm like trying to rebuild myself, because like I know who I was in middle school. I know who I was in high school isn't me. And so now I'm just this dude who, like, I feel like I lived two lives that were both very short, and I'm trying to make sense of both of them as where I stand now. And like, I like actually recognize myself in family vacation pictures, which is a weird thing. Like, I didn't realize that I didn't recognize myself. Like, I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, that's my family. But like now I look at pictures and I'm like, oh, this is me and them when we went here. Like, it's just a really weird thing. I know it probably doesn't make a lot of sense, and I'm kind of just rambling, but I feel like I'm in a really strange, like, it's a cool place, honestly. Like, I'm just like finding things that I forgot I knew how to do. Like, I couldn't play guitar for shit. Like, and apparently, like, because I took lessons in middle school and then never again, and then just stopped playing. And then now I can just like play guitar. Like, I have most of the Ernston album written, just me and guitar, and like I've met with the guys twice. Which beforehand we were building the whole thing. I'd come in with a vocal melody and have to build the song around it. Like, I have like an energy and a passion for life that I didn't have before, and like the things that I was passionate about before, I can approach more genuinely, instead of like, okay, well, I need to do something. That way, like, you know, if I wind up just finally fucking killing myself tomorrow, like, at least there'll be something left behind. Now I can be like, okay, yeah, so, I mean, I guess I just kind of want to give everyone a window into how I'm thinking. And that's definitely a way more healthy place to come from. And I like writing from there, because I can make my little commentaries on the stuff I don't like, but I can also focus on making it, like, upbeat and, like, tongue-in-cheek humor, and not bring people down while you're talking shit about life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, more relatably.
Yeah, and
it's so weird.
Yeah, and for the first time, like, you're actually in control of things, because like you used alcohol as a crutch. You know, you used it to like fuel this, you know, this one character that, you know, you were basically looking at from the outside in, whether you knew it or not. Like, this was, you know, this was your alter ego. This was the cool guy. Like I hate to say it, but it's like reminiscent of Fight Club, where, you know, you were watching your Brad Pitt character fucking do everything, and, you know, you just realized that your Edward Norton character yourself was getting all the effects and shit like that. So
yeah, and then at the end, Edward Norton, well, no, he died, but like, if he lived, imagine him trying to piece shit back.
You've ruined it for me.
Yeah, fuck, you just spoiled a movie everyone knows. Well, then again, we are already breaking rule number 1, so it's all right.
Yeah.
We're talking about it.
Fight Club, yes.
Like, actually, it all started, 4th grade was the first time I went to a funeral, and it was also the first time that I read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. And between 4th grade and 8th grade, I lost track at 58 times that I read that book.
Jesus.
And, yeah, it's an absurd thing. Like, I shouldn't have read 58 books between 4th and 8th grade, let alone one book 58 times. But I really clung to Dallas Winston because he was tough and he was everything that I knew I wasn't. And like I did a lot of weird shit. Like I played hockey all the time. Like I was in street leagues and I would just start fights and like everything I could to just like be tough. But like I feel it was me trying to prove it to myself. And subconsciously I knew it because like I at that point I wasn't fucking self-medicating with anything. I was just trying to do something. And that's why I stuck to acting so much too, was you get to step in and be someone else, and like I'm on stage and I'm going to come off and they're going to praise me, even though what they just watched was not me at all. That was somebody that someone else made up.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of comfort in that because I could get by on my own accolades without having to be me. And like, you do, like, it was insane. Like I literally just wore denim all the time. Like even like as until now, once I got sober, I actually got rid of all of my denim vests and jackets. I don't wear them anymore because it's like my uniform for being a shithead. But like I really like I took Dallas and ran with him. And then in February of 2015, I played Dallas in a stage production of The Outsiders. And that like, oh my God, that kicked it into super high gear, because then I was just like, oh, you're just method acting, bro. Like, it's all good, dude. Just do whatever the fuck you want. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm just going to ruin everything now because I am Dallas Winston. But now I'm Jimmy. Like, I'm James Fasulo. I'm Jimmy again, like, for the first time genuinely since probably, like, my freshman year of high school. And it's really weird. But I have this really cool toolbox, I feel like, where I have the shit I learned where I was doing bad shit with bad people and like the experiences that I put myself through then. But then I also have, like, I feel like I've been granted this really unique perspective on life where I could feel like I can look back at 2 quote unquote past lives and know that they're behind me while I'm building a new one and figuring out like what I'm going to be in my life and like who I am or how I feel and what I love. And I wrote, it comes through a lot on the songs. It's not so much like, it's not me just singing about alcohol or being depressed. Like I wrote a song that's literally, it's it's like a doo-wop song, like the bum 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 bum, and it's entirely about how I can't write love songs, but and like, I'm angry at myself, but it's so music is so much fun now because I can play with it and like I can make it myself more because I know a little bit more about myself, and that's a lot what the new Ernston project has been shaping up to be. Because Ernston was started by me and my friend Errol Butel in December of 2014, freshman year of college for us, and what essentially had happened was he played in a whole bunch of like hair metal bands and like dad rock stuff. He went to a Catholic school up until high school, and I was like the shitty public high school kid that you do not want your Catholic school son to meet, because of who I was then. And like I would just like fuck with him, but then we became friends. And he wrote in my yearbook, his door's always open. You never know when our musical paths could cross. And one night I was just like really bummed out because I wasn't in a band at the time, and I was just looking through my yearbook, like, okay, well, one of these people has got to be doing worse than I am. And then I found what Errol wrote, and then the next day I saw him in the cafeteria at Middlesex County College, and he was just sitting there with his headphones in, and I was like, yo, egg roll. And he was like, what's up? And I was like, you want to start a fucking band, dude? And he said, yeah. And then here we are 2 years late. 2 years and like 5 songs later, which is pretty ridiculous, but yeah, and we're finally doing it, and like I'm giving it the chance, and I feel bad I put a lot of energy into Chasing Down Sunset, because it all really happened really quickly, but Ernston really fell on the back burner, and a lot of people that were involved felt like I didn't care about it anymore, but Ernston is my baby, you know what I mean? Like that album is the first time that I ever knew something about myself. Writing that and singing it, like I learned who I was a little bit. And now, like, Ernston's going to be where I continue to do that. Chasing Down Sunset, I love that band. I love those kids. I love our music. But I'm never going to be able to put as much of myself into a song there, I feel like.
So it sounds like you're doing the
So
same thing
I'm
again
really
when
excited.
you were an alcoholic. Basically, Ernston is your project, while Chasing Down Sunset is like the person that you're watching, more or less.
I mean, yeah, in a weird sense, I guess so. Yeah, it's like Chasing Down Sunset. Like Copper Pulse and Positivity in Transit are the two songs on that album that I wrote the lyrics entirely. And like Positivity, I put a lot. That's like I already talked about. Like that's a me song. That's an old Ernston song that never happened. And then Copper Pulse is just written about, like, it's an amalgamation of girls that I knew, and I just put it into one song. But like I feel like with Chasing Down Sunset, I'm always trying to make sure that it's not too honest or too brash, or like I can never let it be too something, because that band, Jill is the creative mind behind that band. Like I'm never gonna front and be like, yeah, Jimmy Fasulo, fucking artist extraordinaire, writing all this great shit. Like Jill it's her brainchild, and I feel like my character in that band is to help and to sing the shit out of the lead parts that she writes for me. I feel like that to an extent, I feel like I am playing like in her show, not in the, well, that sounded really shitty, but you know what I meant, in like the theatrical sense. Like she's producing this really fantastic show, and I just get to be a part of it, and I get to contribute in the process, and I'm really grateful for it. But Ernston, I have way more freedom to just do, you know what I mean? Like I get to put tidbits of me here and there in Chasing Down Sunset. But our number one single that we had, well, it wasn't a number one single, but you know what I mean. It was the single off both EPs she wrote when she was 14, which is incredible. But like, that's what's carrying the band at this point. You know what I mean? A song she wrote 2 years ago. The two songs I wrote are gaining traction in the fan base that we've managed to garner, but like, it's not Jimmy. Like, I am pretty much synonymous with Ernston for people who like are interested in it and like have paid attention to Ernston. Like it's pretty much like everyone will be like, oh yeah, that's Jimmy, like Jimmy's songs, and then Chasing That Sunset is like, oh, Jimmy, the band Jimmy's in, you know what I mean? But it's a cool thing to have. I get to experience both sides of it, being the like singer songwriter aspect, and then also treating the voice as an instrument and applying it to pieces that already exist in Chasing Down Sunset.
Yeah, I hear you there. Jesus Christ! Wow,
Yeah,
it felt like
I just unloaded so much shit.
It felt
Thank
like
God
a
I didn't
fucking
take
workout. I'm not
therapist.
gonna
I was
lie
doing
to you,
interviews.
but what it feels good to have done it. It feels good to like get your side.
Yeah,
of things.
you said you wanted to do you want an inside look, man. You're behind every barricade, my dude.
Seriously, man. So, anyways, let's throw out some plugs in there. What are you currently working on now? Is it Ernston or Chasing Down Sunset?
Ernston, Chasing Down Sunset, we have a single written. We're figuring out what we're gonna do with it. We're actually going on a short tour in February with Color Show from Pittsburgh and the Sulls from Connecticut. We're gonna be hitting, I don't know if the whole thing's booked yet. Oh, we're hitting Sherman Showcase in East Stroudsburg. I think the Space in Connecticut, Hard Rock Cafe in Pittsburgh, and then either a Jersey or Philly date somewhere also, which is cool because they're all in high school. So I have the time to work on Ernston now, and that's just a 3-day weekend that we're filling up with stuff. And then right now I'm really focusing, like, I literally turned my amp off just like so I could call you. I've been demoing in my basement for the Ernston album like 24/7 when I'm not at work. I'm really excited about it. We have a working title that we haven't announced. Ooh, BTB exclusive.
Oh shit!
Potential Ernston title that Jared hates, so we probably won't keep it. But Swivel Dried Beats.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll explain my rationale behind it if you want, because it means nothing but everything at the same time. Like sun-dried, like sun-dried tomatoes, like swivel-dried beets, because I wrote them all in my computer chair, which swivels.
Okay, I get it now, yeah.
Dried, as in I don't drink anymore.
Yep.
And then beats is just a pun because you dry vegetables, and then beats is also music.
There
It
we
is
go.
honestly a terrible title, and we will change it most likely, but
Probably.
I like it.
That's all that fucking matters, all right?
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And we're recording with when we're finally done, we're basically recording the album twice. Well, three times, I guess, for some of the songs. Like I'm recording the shitty demo in my basement, or with my yeah, he's my vocal coach / just like mentor, Kai Garner. Me and him write some stuff together, and then I'll bring it to Errol's house, and then we'll produce a full track, like guitar, drums, bass, all the other instruments. Like we're doing piano and stuff and saxophone, things that we never would have thought about before, which is awesome. But we're doing all that, and then when we're finally done and happy with how they sound on Errol's computer, we're going to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to record with the main man Ben Roth, who's going to produce the final product for us. And then we're looking to tour with our friends in Map of Rome, probably in August, and then a little some more in between here and there. I'm really excited for it. Oh, we're going to do soon. We're releasing an anniversary cassette of our first EP, because we never actually pressed it because it's just like basement demos essentially.
Yeah.
We're pressing it to cassette, and then on the B side, I have a recording of me and Errol playing it acoustically, the first time that we ever performed it at an open mic night, just on a whim. And a couple other songs. There's a song that I wrote with Matt, who is the singer and songwriter of Map of Rome. We wrote it together. That's probably going to end up on the other side, and maybe some other stuff. And then that'll just be so we can, like, hey guys, we're still a band, by the way, even though it's been like a year since we did anything. We're going to do that, and then we're going to really start pushing on this new one. We want to do like we're going to tour as much as we can on it, because this project, like, I feel like now I'm in a place where I can not bring any negativity to it. And so I wouldn't feel bad asking for effort from from Errol and Jared and whoever we get on drums. Like, I feel like it would be extremely selfish for me to be still writing those sad, like, selfish asshole alcoholic songs, and then ask them to tour on it and put their energy into it. Now I feel like we're at a point, and they're all in the same place too. Like, we're ready to go with it and rock and roll and make it more than the four basement demo band that somehow got a lot of popularity off of it, like, around here. Like, we're ready to put the work in and try to earn something. And I'm really looking forward to the process that comes along with that.
Hell yeah, man. So 2017 is going to be one busy ass year.
Dude, fuck yeah. Like, we're Chasing Down Sunset. We're trying to write a full length. I have no idea when the hell that'll happen, but that's going to be a lot of fun. And then we got our new bassist, Matt. I'm playing bass in his other band now, which is just like, he writes songs on his own, and then we just go play them. We're actually playing, the band's called OK Friends, and December 30th, my first show in that band, we're opening for Deal Casino, which is fucking insane.
Oh,
like,
wow, yeah.
I'm so hyped on that. Yeah. Dude, like, I thought, I did American Idiot over the summer. I did last summer, I did the New Jersey premiere of American Idiot in Rahway, and I thought it was tight that they retweeted me, because I was like, yo, at Deal Casino, wearing your t-shirt in every performance of the show, and they were like, tight. And I thought that was awesome. But now, like, I'm playing bass in a little twinkle emo band, and I get to open for them. I don't know. Life just keeps getting cooler. Like, now that I, like, let it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, man.
It's cool.
Hell yeah. So
and you're never busy if you're doing what you love.
That's also true. So let's make sure people know exactly where to find you doing the stuff you love.
Yes.
So you're on Facebook with both bands. So let me just throw that link out there. So for Ernston, it's facebook.com/Ernston Band. That's ERNSTON Band. And Chasing Down Sunset is basically facebook.com/Chasing Down Sunset Band. So if you just put the titles in, followed by bands, it'll pop up. Music's up on there. You could get it off of Bandcamp as well. I saw a couple of links for that. And I guess for all news, just stick to the Facebook page, and definitely check you out when you guys come around here. Come up to North Jersey.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
We got Twitter and stuff too. Yeah, but fuck Twitter, dude. 140 characters is lame.
Exactly.
North Jersey. I totally have a thing going on in North Jersey? No, I don't. No, I definitely don't. Okay.
Get a thing.
I do love North Jersey, though. I'll get a thing, and then I'll get back to you, and we'll just update this retroactively.
Yep, there we go. So right before I let you go, we'd like to play a song out from the person we interview. Any Any songs come in mind, whether Ernston or Chasing Down Sunset, doesn't matter.
I'm thinking Positivity in Transit. I guess that's the one we probably talked about the most. Positivity in Transit from. I'll email you the track because I don't know if we have it up free anywhere. We're kind of annoying with the accessibility of that album. But yeah, Positivity in Transit by Chasing Down Sunset would be tight for an outro.
Hell yeah. Let's close it out.
Sweet.
Jimmy, thank you so much, man. It's one hell of an interview.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me ruin your night a little bit.
It is quite all right. Now we're going to be sad and pathetic.
Hey, man. Hey, you can always just be sad. Let other things be sad and pathetic to you instead of you feeling sad and pathetic. That's how I get by now.